Hey, Brian from SnakeBytes here. It's Christmas time, and I'm going to show you guys my ultimate Christmas list. You're watching SnakeBytes. So my Christmas really came early this year, and that was in September when we proved out the Scaleless Ball Pythons. You couldn't ask for a better gift than that. And it's actually kind of cool because the one thing I get asked the most about is how these guys shed. And believe it or not, this guy right now just shed this perfect shed. Let's take a look. Holy cow, it's really cool. You can see the little eye caps. Again, people ask all the time, what about their eyes? How do they get protected? The truth is you can see right here, they still have eye caps in the shed. But what's really weird about them is, again, a snake shed without those scales, which makes it just kind of this piece of skin. It's really an unusual one, and that's a beautiful shed right there. It's really awesome. But as you can see, these guys are doing really well. They're growing, they're shedding, they're doing fantastic. I tell you what, I definitely would take this any day of the week for sure. But I tell you, if I had to pick a cool Christmas gift, it would certainly be the Scaleless Ball Python. But that's not all I want. I want to show you guys what else is on my Christmas list. As a child, what was Brian's favorite Christmas gift he'd ever received? A, a dartboard, B, remote-controlled racing car, or C, a telescope? Go ahead and answer down below in the comments and check back later in the show to see if you have the right answer. On this week's Reptile Report Spotlight, we'll be highlighting Bush League Breeders Forum. Go ahead and check out the URL down below or click on the link in the description. I certainly don't give hognose snakes nearly enough time as I should on the show. They're just such incredible animals. Take a look at this beauty here. This is a normal het for albino western hognose. Now, we only work with the westerns here because they're typically just an easier animal, really readily accepting rodents, as opposed to the easterns that typically are frog and toad eaters. Now, I tell you, the personality on these guys are just unbelievable. And I always say, as soon as you own your first western hognose, you're completely sold and you become a lifelong hognose lovers. But there's so many cool color mutations out there, and that's what makes western hognose snakes so exciting. And it all kind of started just with an albino version right here. Now again, it's a simple recessive mutation, and it's just lacking the melanin, and these things are absolutely gorgeous in their own right. But there's so much more going on out there in hognose, and we're not working with nearly the variety as some people. Take, for instance, this toffee hognose. Now, this is a beautiful mutation that's also recessive, that's lacking the majority of the melanin, which kind of makes it hypomelanistic. But you don't want to confuse the toffies with the actual hypomelanistic or the caramel hogs that all look a little bit similar, but they're all really gorgeous but separate in their own right. Now, what's really cool is that a codominant mutation was introduced into hognose a few years back that was called an anaconda hog. And you can see it was called an anaconda because of its patterning. Kind of reminded the guy of a green anaconda. They also have that solid black belly, and they're really gorgeous animals. And it's cool when you're working with a codominant animal because when you breed two of them together, you get a super version. And this happens to be what they call a superconda, which is just basically a patternless hognose. Now, that's really cool. And some of the mutations that are being bred into them are absolutely stunning. We actually bred out the very first axanthic hognose several years ago. Now, these guys are just lacking the yellow pigment, making them silver and black. And that just makes them a gorgeous snake. And believe it or not, there's a bunch of line-bred animals too. Like, for instance, this red hognose here is just basically a polygenic trait. That just basically means if you breed the reddest animals to the reddest animals, you're going to get more and more red animals, which are typically started from a locality situation. But regardless, hognose are absolutely on my Christmas list. I've been breeding Kenyan sand boas for about 20 years, and I absolutely think that they're underappreciated animals because if you want a boa that's not going to get really large, a Kenyan sand boa is a great option. Now, these are a typical normal Kenyan sand boa. We typically will breed them for this really beautiful orange pattern. As a matter of fact, the really orange ones are typically called flame Kenyans, but we sometimes go a completely different direction and start trying to line breed for yellow instead of orange. Again, the orange makes them really gorgeous, but I kind of am really partial to this beautiful yellow color as well. And what makes Kenyan so incredible is that there's a bunch of paint jobs out there, which means it's just really cool if you want to breed them and produce something so awesome. There's a lot of things to choose. Now, they're live bearers and will have anywhere from 15 to 35 babies. Now, the babies come out kind of small, but they typically eat really well. And again, this little aneurystic was one of the first mutations ever produced in Kenyan sand boas. And all it is basically a reduction of the yellow pigment, which makes them just really gorgeous. But there's a bunch of other really cool color mutations. Take a look at this one here. They call this a snow Kenyan. So it's basically an aneurystic and an albino, which is basically reducing the black pigment and yellow pigment, leaving this stunning snake. Now, what I really love is the fact that paradoxing in most snakes is not genetic. And what paradoxing is when you have an albino and you get all these black freckles throughout them. The majority of the time, it's just kind of a freak of nature and you can't reproduce it. But believe it or not, in Kenyan sand boas, it's a recessive mutation. So this is an albino paradox with these black splotching all over it. And again, this breeds true. So if you breed two of these together, you're going to produce more albino paradox, which is pretty awesome. But then you can take it one step further and you can get a snow paradox, just like the other snow, but this time with black freckles all over it. I tell you, Kenyan sand boas are so awesome. I hope you appreciate them as much as I do. This is one of my raise out aisles, so you can kind of say that this was on my proverbial wish list at one point. I certainly would always be happy to get one of these snakes for Christmas. There's so many cool animals in this rack. Take, for instance, even this animal right here. This is an albino reverse Okatee corn snake. And the whole idea behind these guys is to get the brightest red blotches as possible. This is just an absolute stunner. And I love the fact that there's that white right around the patches. What an absolute ripper for sure. Or how about this animal here? You guys know I love Brazilian rainbow boas. Well, take a look at this beauty. This is a hypomelanistic Brazilian rainbow boa. So again, it's a recessive mutation that's ripping away a lot of that black pigment and just making it absolutely pink and gorgeous for sure. And how about a garter snake? You guys know I love garter snakes. This is a new species of garter snake I'm working with called a Scots garter. They're just super cool looking in that green color. I'm absolutely digging these guys. You don't see them around too often, so I'm pretty excited to produce them maybe next year. Or how about some of my bigger animals like this high white, black and white cow king? That's just a really aggressive feeder. Just look, as soon as it saw my pinky, it's like, I'm going to go ahead and just eat this. But what a gorgeous animal. I've talked about these in the past where it's a polygenic trait, which just basically means if you breed the highest white animals to the highest white animals, you're going to get more and more white animals. I have a feeling I'm going to be attached to this guy for a little while. So let's just go ahead and look at some other snakes while he's trying to eat my thumb. So take a look at this spotted python. I just did a whole show on Anteracia, and that's right, we're working with some cool ones too. I absolutely love them to death. Such a cool little Australian python. Or how about this albino Japanese rat snake right here? Now these are actually off an island of Japan called Kunasur Island. But just look at those really big eyes and that big head. And again, albinos, there's not a whole lot of them out there, but they're truly stunning animals. And I'm just so excited to always be producing them. Now the normal Kunasur Islands, believe it or not, when they get bigger are almost turquoise color. Really beautiful snakes. How about this one here? Holy cow, look at this animal. This is a scaleless Texas rat snake, but it's a line-bred animal to produce this really bright red patterning. I tell you what, I can't wait till this group gets up to size, because when we start producing all of them like this, holy cow, is that incredible. So that's just a handful of raise-ups, but I want to take a look at some big snakes right now, if I can ever get this guy off my hand. Now, big snakes have always been one of my passions for sure, and reticulated pythons are absolutely on the tops of those lists for sure. Take a look at this beastie right here. Now, this girl is only about 1.5 years old. She's gonna eventually get 20 foot and this big around, but I tell you, they're just such inquisitive animals. They're much smarter than the Burmese python with their actions. They're always kind of looking at you, trying to figure her out a little bit. As a matter of fact, that's what makes them a little bit of dodgy animals, is because they seem to always be looking at you like, what can I do to get over on this guy? But as you can see, the majority of them are puppy dog tame, and I just absolutely love them to death. Now, unfortunately, there's been some news recently that retics may be added to the Lacey Act, or the Injurious Wildlife Act, which would basically prohibit them from crossing state lines. Now, this is such a tragedy, but I want to go ahead and find out, what is the Lacey Act?
The Lacey Act protects both plants and wildlife by creating civil and criminal penalties for a wide array of violations. It prohibits trade in wildlife, fish, and plants that have been illegally taken, transported, or sold. The law also prohibits the transportation of illegally captured or prohibited animals across state lines, and addresses the potential problems caused by the introduction of non-native species of birds and animals into the native ecosystem.
It would be such a tragedy to me to lose such an amazing animal by being added to the Lacey Act. Now, what that basically means is if you can't sell them across state lines, the majority of people would stop breeding them, and within a decade or two, there'd be no more beautiful animals like this in private collections. Now, that's an absolute tragedy. What I need from you guys is to go to usark.org and help us fight for our rights to keep these amazing animals. Any donation to that legal fund is going to help preserve the future for these amazing animals. I hope you guys have an awesome Christmas, and make sure to keep that passion for reptiles.
Santa, there you are. I've been going through these lists, and little Johnny wants a fast, colorful toy. Thinking a race car.
Ho, ho, ho! Johnny can get a race car anywhere. I've got the perfect toy for him. This is a toy that any kid would want. Take a look at this one. It's beautiful, it's fast, and really colorful. It's a king rat snake. Johnny will be so happy with this snake right here. Whoa! Oh, he's a playful one, little elf. I tell you what, put it in the sack.
Santa, little Michael wants a spotted Dalmatian puppy.
Oh, a puppy. Anybody can have a puppy. I've got the perfect gift for little Michael. Look at this beauty here. Now, if you want a spotted, beautiful animal, this leopard gecko is the perfect choice.
But Santa, he's been really good, and he wants a puppy. I'm sorry, Santa. I'll put it in the sack for you. Don't put me on the naughty list. Santa, little Susie wants something cute and cuddly. Maybe a teddy bear?
A teddy bear? Oh, I've got the perfect thing for her that will want to cuddle her all day long. How about a Burmese python? Look at this guy here.
Santa, will that fit in a stocking?
Oh, I'm Santa Claus. Anything can fit in a stocking. This will be a perfect pet for little Susie. What kid wouldn't want a pet like this? And you guys have a Merry Christmas. From all of us here at BHB and SnakeBytesTV, we want to wish you a Merry Christmas. As a child, what was Brian's favorite Christmas gift he ever received? If you said B, a remote-controlled racing car, you're 100% correct. Good job.
Hey guys, Merry Christmas. I hope you're having a great day and got some cool stuff. Get to spend time with your family. I want to know, what's the coolest gift you got this year? I was really hoping someone would buy me the Sydney Opera House Lego set. That didn't happen. Oh well. Maybe next year. Leave a comment below and let us know.
So there it is. I hope you guys enjoyed the show, and as you can imagine, I want more animals for Christmas. I hope you guys had a great holiday, and if you ever want to follow any of my animal adventures, make sure to hit me up over on Facebook and Twitter at SnakeBytesTV. Until next week, you've been watching Snake Bites. Saltwater croc-3, 22 feet in length, and have the strongest bite force of any animal on the planet. Their bite can crush a human skull at 3,700 pounds of force.